7 money habits that are quietly keeping you broke. By the time Marcus turned 34, he had earned more than $400,000. Not all at once. Over 12 years of working, a warehouse job in his early 20s, then a sales role, then a corporate gig that finally paid him something that felt like real money. $400,000 had passed through his hands. He had $2,200 in his checking account. Roughly $18,000 in credit card debt spread across 3 cards. No savings account, no retirement fund, a lease on a car he couldn't comfortably afford, and a closet full of clothes he'd bought during moments he didn't want to examine too closely. He wasn't irresponsible. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't someone who had never tried to get ahead. He just had 7 habits. 7 patterns so normalized, so invisible, so completely woven into the fabric of how he lived, that he never once identified them as the problem. This is his story. And if you've ever looked at your bank account and felt the quiet panic of knowing the number should be bigger than it is, then this is also yours. Welcome to MillionMindShift, where every story is a lesson money can't buy. Here is what most financial advice gets wrong about bad money habits. It treats them like mistakes, like errors in judgment that a smarter, more disciplined person simply wouldn't make. It tells you to stop buying coffee, stop eating out, make a budget, as if the problem is information. But Marcus knew how to make a budget. He'd made 4 of them. He just never followed any of them past week 3. Because his problem wasn't information, it was psychology. It was the invisible story he told himself about money, about what it was for, what it meant, who he was in relationship to it. A story so deep and so old that no spreadsheet could touch it. The 7 habits we're about to walk through are not stupid mistakes. They are sophisticated psychological responses to stress, identity, fear, and social pressure. They make complete sense in the moment, and they are quietly, systematically destroying the financial future of millions of people who consider themselves perfectly intelligent adults. Marcus had all 7. Let's go through them one by one. When Marcus got his first real corporate salary, $68,000 a year, he did what almost everyone does. He upgraded. Not dramatically. Nothing that felt reckless. He moved into a nicer apartment, just $300 more a month. He got a better car, just $250 more. He started eating at slightly better restaurants, buying slightly better clothes, taking 1 more vacation per year than he used to. Each individual upgrade was completely reasonable. Together, they consumed almost every dollar of his raise before it could ever reach a savings account. This is lifestyle inflation, and it is the most socially celebrated form of financial self-destruction in modern culture. The raise arrives. The lifestyle expands to meet it. The gap between income and spending never widens. The wealth is never built. Every time Marcus earned more, he simply became someone who needed more to live. The goalpost moved. It always moved. Behavioral economists call this the hedonic treadmill, the phenomenon where humans rapidly adapt to improvements in circumstance, returning quickly to their baseline level of satisfaction and needing a new upgrade to feel the same elevation again. Marcus wasn't enjoying his lifestyle upgrades, he was maintaining them. There's a difference, and that difference cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars. The fix isn't to never upgrade, it's to be intentional. Old money principle. When income rises, let your savings rate rise first. Lifestyle follows wealth, not the other way around. There was a period, almost 2 years, when Marcus didn't open his credit card statements. He knew roughly what was on them. He paid roughly what he could each month. He told himself he'd deal with it properly when things calmed down, when the next project wrapped. When the busy season ended, things never calmed down. The statements kept arriving. He kept not opening them. This is financial avoidance, and it is extraordinarily common. Research in behavioral finance consistently shows that people avoid looking at financial information when they expect that information to be bad. The brain interprets a negative bank balance or a high credit card statement as a threat and activates the same avoidance response it uses for any threat. Look away. Don't engage. Protect yourself from the discomfort. The problem is that avoidance doesn't shrink the debt. It grows it. And it grows something else too. A vague, low-level financial anxiety that follows you everywhere. Not because you looked at the number, because you didn't. Marcus described it once as a feeling like I was always about to be found out, like at any moment the real number would appear and everyone would know. The relief of not looking is temporary. The cost of not looking is permanent. One of the most powerful things a person can do for their financial psychology is to look at every number, every account, every statement on a scheduled day each week. Not to panic, just to see. The truth, when you stop running from it, is almost always more manageable than the anxiety you built around it. Marcus had a rule. He called it his hard week rule. If the week had been hard enough, a difficult client, a stressful deadline, a fight with someone he cared about, he was allowed to spend whatever he wanted. A dinner out, new shoes, a jacket he'd been eyeing online, sometimes all three. He framed it as self-care. He'd earned it. He deserved it. He was right that he deserved rest and recovery. He was wrong about what form that should take. The treat yourself culture, amplified by social media, normalized by advertising, validated by an entire industry built around emotional consumption, has made spending a socially acceptable response to emotional discomfort. Stressed? Buy something. Sad? Order something. Anxious? Scroll and find something that temporarily fills the hole. The problem is not the treat. The problem is that the relief is real but brief, and the financial damage accumulates invisibly. Marcus estimated he spent somewhere between $400 and $800 per month on what he called hard week purchases. Over 5 years, that's between $24,000 and $48,000 spent in moments of emotional relief that he can no longer remember. He said, "I couldn't tell you what I bought. I can tell you I felt better for a few hours. And then, I felt exactly the same as before, except now my card balance was higher." Emotional spending is not a moral failure. It is a coping mechanism. And like all coping mechanisms, the question is not whether you deserve relief. It's whether this particular method of relief is working for you. The research says it isn't. The balance says it isn't. The replacement isn't deprivation. It's building a personal toolkit of relief that costs nothing. A walk, a call to someone you trust, a workout, an hour of complete rest. These aren't punishments, they're upgrades. In his late 20s, Marcus started paying attention to how he looked in professional settings. He noticed that the people who got taken seriously, in meetings, at networking events, at the company dinners he was now occasionally invited to, dressed a certain way, wore certain watches, drove certain cars. He started building the look, piece by piece. A good suit, then two, then better shoes, a watch that said something, a car that communicated stability, not a flashy car, just a car that didn't make him feel like he was still the warehouse kid. Each purchase was, in isolation, a reasonable career investment. Together, they became something else, an identity built on objects rather than capability, a costume for a role he hadn't yet been cast in. This is the identity spend, buying the signals of wealth before the wealth exists. And it is one of the most psychologically complex habits on this list, because it is partially true that how you present yourself affects how others treat you. But here's the distinction that Marcus never made. There's a difference between a strategic presentation investment, one suit well chosen for specific professional purposes, and an ongoing consumption of status symbols that drains the exact capital that would eventually create the status he was trying to signal. The cruel irony of the identity spend. You are spending the money that would make you wealthy in order to look like you already are. Old money knows this. Old money dresses well, but modestly. Old money doesn't need you to know. New money is still trying to prove the money is real. The proving is what keeps it from staying. Marcus could have invested the difference. He didn't. And the gap between what he spent on looking wealthy and what building wealth would have required was narrower than he ever admitted to himself. Marcus had a number he paid every month without fail, the minimum, on 3 credit cards, every month, on time. He was proud of his on-time payment record. His credit score was good. He thought of himself as someone who managed his debt responsibly. He had never sat down and calculated what the minimum payment strategy was actually costing him. The math, when he finally looked at it in a spreadsheet a financial counselor built for him, made him feel physically ill. On $18,000 of credit card debt at an average interest rate of 21%, paying only the minimum meant he would be in debt for over 27 years. He would pay more than $24,000 in interest alone, more than the original debt. He would still be paying off purchases he couldn't remember making when he was 61 years old. "I thought I was managing my debt," Marcus said. "I was feeding it." The minimum payment is not a management strategy. It is a mechanism designed by creditors to maximize the interest they collect from you over the longest possible period. It is legal, it is disclosed, and it is devastating when applied to a generation that was never taught to read the fine print. The psychological trap is this: paying the minimum feels responsible. You paid. You didn't miss a payment. The account is in good standing. The brain registers this as a problem handled. But the balance barely moves. The interest compounds. And every month that passes without an aggressive paydown is a month your future self will spend working to pay for your past self's purchases. There is no wealth-building strategy in the world that reliably outperforms the return on paying down 21% interest debt. That is the first investment. Always. Marcus intended to save. He really did. He just never set up the mechanism. His plan, and he would have called it a plan, was to save whatever was left over at the end of the month. The problem was that the end of the month almost always came before the money did. There was always something: a car repair, a friend's birthday dinner, a bill he'd forgotten. The leftover was reliably zero. This is no plan saving, and it is the financial equivalent of intending to go to the gym when you have time. The time never appears. The gym never happens. The savings never materializes. The psychology here is well documented. Humans are spectacularly bad at saving from what remains because we are spectacularly good at finding ways to spend what is available. The spending fills the space. It always does. The solution is mechanical, not motivational. Automation removes the decision. You cannot spend what is moved before you see it. The single behavioral finance intervention with the strongest evidence behind it. Automatic transfer to savings on the day of paycheck. Not the day after. Not when you've checked the balance. The day the money arrives. Marcus eventually set up a $300 automatic transfer on the first of every month. It was less than he wanted to save, but it happened. Every month, without a decision, and $300 saved automatically is $300 more than zero saved intentionally. Start with the smallest amount that feels uncomfortable. Not painless, uncomfortable. That resistance is the proof that something is actually being saved. The last habit is the quietest, and possibly the most expensive. Marcus had a friend group from college, good people, people he genuinely loved. And as they moved through their 30s, their lives started to diverge in ways that nobody talked about, but everyone felt. Some of them made more money than Marcus. Some had partners with good incomes. Some had family money quietly subsidizing a lifestyle that looked earned but wasn't. Some were simply deeper in debt than Marcus and hiding it better. Marcus didn't know any of this. He saw the vacations on Instagram, the house renovations, the restaurant openings, the concert tickets, and he felt the pull. Not exactly envy, but something adjacent to it. A sense that his life should be keeping pace, that falling behind socially was somehow failing. So he kept up. Dinners he couldn't comfortably afford, trips he put on cards, gifts he stretched for. Not because he was irresponsible, because the alternative felt like admitting something he wasn't ready to admit. This is the comparison spend, and social media has made it the most dangerous financial force in modern life. You are comparing your internal financial reality, the anxiety, the debt, the tight months, to everyone else's external financial performance. It is never a fair comparison, and it is costing you a fortune. Here is what the research on social comparison and spending consistently shows: the people whose lifestyle you are trying to match are often doing exactly the same thing you are, borrowing to maintain an appearance for the benefit of people who are also borrowing. The exit from the comparison spend isn't radical minimalism. It's a private decision, a choice to compete with your own goals instead of other people's highlight reels, to make your financial decisions based on your actual values, not someone else's performance of theirs. This was the hardest habit for Marcus to break because it was the most social, and because breaking it required him to be honest with himself and eventually with the people around him in ways he had never been before. Marcus's turning point didn't come from a book. It didn't come from a podcast. It didn't come from a moment of dramatic financial crisis, though those had happened too. It came from a conversation with his father. His father was 67. He had worked for 40 years, and he was going to have to keep working because he had almost nothing saved. Not because he had never earned enough, because he had never done the things Marcus was not yet doing. Marcus sat across from his father at a kitchen table and looked at the man and saw the future. His future. If nothing changed, he didn't panic. He got quiet. And then he got to work. He didn't fix everything at once. He couldn't. He started with the smallest possible version of each change. He opened the statements. He set up the automatic transfer. He started paying an extra $150 a month toward his highest interest card. He had one honest conversation with his friend group about what he could and couldn't afford. He stopped upgrading things that still worked. None of it was dramatic. All of it compounded. 2 years later, Marcus had paid off 2 of his 3 credit cards. He had $9,400 in savings. He had a retirement account with $4,200 in it, the first real wealth he had ever built. And for the first time in over a decade, when he looked at his bank account, he didn't feel the quiet panic. He felt something different. He felt like himself, like the financial version of himself he had always been capable of being. He told me, "I didn't change my income. I changed what I believed I was allowed to keep." That sentence is the whole lesson, not the tactics, not the spreadsheets, the belief. The habits were never the root. The root was always the story underneath them. The belief that money was something that happened to him, not something he directed. The day he changed the story, the habits started to change themselves. 7 habits. One man's story. And somewhere in there, if you were honest with yourself, you recognized at least one of them, maybe more than one. That recognition is not a reason to feel bad about yourself. It is a reason to feel clear. Clarity is the beginning of every financial turnaround that has ever happened. Not a raise, not a windfall. Clarity. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of the 7 habits hit closest to home? You don't have to explain it. One word, one number, one sentence. Just be honest. Because that honesty is the first step Marcus took, and it's the first step anyone takes. Subscribe to MillionMindShift if you haven't already. Every week, a new story. Every story, a lesson that money can't buy. Check the pinned comment. I drop a reflection question every episode, and I read every single answer. Until next week, stop quietly keeping yourself broke. You know better now. Use it. MillionMindShift. Where every story is a lesson money can't buy.